Instagram has changed a lot over the years. Trends and different things like hashtags, adding 30 hashtags to each post, which used to work really well in 2017 to grow your following, just don't work anymore, right? So what should you be doing today, and what should you be avoiding on Instagram so that you can continuously grow? Hi, my name is Natalie Santa Rosa, and welcome back to my channel. I essentially teach female coaches, course creators, and entrepreneurs how to grow their impact and income. And I'm going to be sharing with you today specific tips on how I grew my following, but also how I grew my revenue using Instagram. I have used a bunch of different strategies. I at one point focused solely just on like how can I increase engagement, and then at another point in my business, I was making around $70,000 a month in cash collected, right? When I only had 2,600 followers, okay? Now my following is a lot larger than that, but what I wanna share and impart with you today is how we can actually be able to grow effectively and be able to get more clients from Instagram. If you're a coach or course creator and you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please do so now. Please click that like button, click subscribe, and click that notification bell because I put out new videos just like this one every single Friday. It also really helps me if you comment below a new topic that you'd like me to talk about. Okay, so I don't just help people with Instagram, even though that's probably the most common thing people ask me for help with. But I do help a lot of people with being able to get more clients, create their offer, create an irresistible offer that clients really want, and be able to sell that and consistently get clients for that offer entirely organically, right? At this point in time of recording this video, I run my business entirely organically. And I would say though, the majority of my clients do come from Instagram, okay? So what mistakes should you avoid on the platform? Like what are some things that might be keeping you stuck? And then what are some things that you should start doing now instead to be able to grow? Right? So like I said earlier in the video, I really focused for about probably 2 to 3 months. I started thinking to myself, how do I just increase engagement? Because you see a lot on Instagram, they'll be like, do this, it's gonna help you get more likes, it's gonna help you get more followers, it's gonna help you get more comments. And what I found when I was doing that is that it didn't necessarily, like it kind of helped, but it didn't necessarily, all the different likes and follows didn't always necessarily result in more sales for myself. So now with this taking in mind, what I'm gonna show you is what I think is the best way to grow. So with that in mind, what I really see is mistake number one is people who still think that buying followers is a good idea. So I have never bought followers where you go on a website or someone says, hey, I'll sell this many followers to you. Why is that a terrible idea? That basically just kills your account. Okay, a lot of people say this, so I'm not gonna harp on it a bunch. I'm gonna move into other things that are bigger mistakes that I see that people make on the platform. But if you still think that buying followers is a good idea, it's not a good idea. I don't care if you have a really small following now, you can do a lot from a small following, and you can still build great trust with that small following without having to buy followers, right? Another thing is I've had one of my clients, her name's Alexandra Radway. She went from 500 followers up to 15,000 followers. She did not buy any of those followers, but instead what she did is she used Reels to grow her following, and that was much more effective because all of those people that came over and followed her, a lot of them, like 80% of those people, were high quality people who could potentially buy what she had to offer, meaning they're interested in what she had to offer, right? Whereas if you buy followers, it's typically either fake profiles or it's just not people who are going to be interested in what you have to offer. So if you, like, I don't think that many people think that buying followers is still a good idea now, but if it's crossed your mind, don't do it. It looks really strange if you have like 100K followers and then you only have like 15 people liking and engaging with your posts. Now again, Likes aren't everything. I really like to think of them more as vanity metrics. They're something that's going to make you feel good ego-wise. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing great business-wise, but just don't buy followers, okay? So moving on to the next point. So a huge mistake I also see a lot of people, specifically in the Instagram space, make is growth for growth's sake. So what I mean by that is there's this huge thing with the Instagram platform where it can become very consuming. It's like you're chasing more followers, you're chasing more likes, you're wanting to get more comments, you're like, oh, it's shares better or it saves better, and it becomes this very mind-consuming thing. Okay, do you need to grow your business? Yes. Should we focus on growth? Yes, but growth for growth's sake is not a good idea whatsoever. So something that I see some people do sometimes when they get so focused on growth only is they either kind of like give up their own personal unique way of presenting their offer, like what's their message, what's their story. They give up all of that because they're like, what do people want to see? Like, what's trending on Instagram now? And so their content becomes more about trending things rather than things that are probably going to help them get more clients. So that's something I see people do when they're in the growth for growth's sake, right, kind of mindset. Another thing that I see happen to people who are really in that growth for growth's sake kind of mindset is they start trying to just post content that might be popular. You know, for instance, like I'll give you an example. I saw this cat reel circulating at one point and I was like, oh my gosh, my cats would look so cute in this reel. Okay, I'll like put a photo of my cats here. My cats are adorable. Right? But here's the problem with doing things like that, is that if you get a lot of followers from that, those people are not going to actually be interested in what you have to offer. So for instance, right, my client Alexandra Radway that I mentioned earlier, what she did is all the reels that she was posting, they were all really focused around her niche, which is helping women prepare their bodies for pregnancy and having a pain-free pregnancy, right? And because of that, she grew, but they were all also people who were potential clients, right? Now, I saw this myself with some things too. So back when I was really focused on, instead of, I was like, how can I experiment? Because I can sometimes be in an experimental mindset when it comes to Instagram. I was like, how can I experiment to just get more engagement? So I started posting different content, like I'll post something up here, right? Which tended to appeal to a lot of people. It got a lot of likes. It felt really good because it was like, whoa, I am getting way more likes than I ever got before. Lots of people would follow me from this content too. So people would share it. Lots of people, I get a lot of followers from content like that. But then what happened is a lot of those people that followed me from content like that were just not my ideal client. Meaning that none of them really translated into sales for my business, right? Now, there would be a couple mixed in, but the grand majority of those people who came and followed me because of that content just weren't there for my other content, didn't really care about everything else that I really did that was more centered around the purpose of my business, right? So don't get into just a growth for growth's sake mindset. Realize that you can actually make a lot, and I mean that, from a small following. Or if you have a larger following, be sure you're being really specific and purposeful with your content so that you're attracting more of those ideal clients and so that you have a greater potential to convert more of those people into clients. The other mistake that I see a lot of people make on Instagram is they don't have a really solid content strategy. So I see people usually fall in one of two categories. So there's the people that go really far into, I'm going to be an influencer, all of their content's really focused on being an influencer, you know, fun photos of them doing fun life things, and then they're really shocked, or like, even if it's not fun life things, let's say they're a fitness coach and like all of their content is just them lifting weights, right? And it's just like, oh, you know, look at me, I'm doing all the stuff that fit people do. Do you want to be my client? You know, them like flexing, right? As you can tell, like my background has been in like yoga and dance, and so I've never lifted weights really. But my point here is things like that really won't help you get clients. Or you see other people that are in this other category where they get so niche focused that they don't share anything about their life that people feel like it's just a cookie cut or whatever, right? So when people get so focused on being just, okay, I'm just talking about the problems that my clients have, right? And only talking about that, or just focusing on, hey, these are my results that my clients have, or just focusing on tips or something like that. You know that they probably don't have a solid content, I call it a content spectrum, okay? You can't just post one type of content and expect to get consistent clients. In fact, what I really suggest when it comes to this is doing like a rotational 2-week strategy. So I really like to have 2 weeks of more of trust building content, and then 2 weeks where I'm promoting something in my business, whether that's my actual coaching program, whether that's a little side note, I have a mini course that's called Instagram Client Machine. It's super affordable. It teaches you how to get more clients on Instagram. I'll put it in the link below, down in the description if you want to go check that out. But anyway, back to this. Or promoting things like a webinar, promoting things like a free challenge, something for 2 weeks, right? I find that works really, really well, okay? Because what you want to think of when it comes to content is that basically you're planting seeds and then you're harvesting. But if you're only doing one thing, right, then you're not going to have very good crops, is basically it, right? To continue this farmer analogy, right? But when I find that a lot of people don't have a great content strategy, that's what I tend to see happen. Now, if you didn't know, if you have a hard time coming up with new content ideas all the time, I actually have a free content guide. And if you want to get that free content guide, all you have to do is go over to my Instagram right now. It's at Natalie Santa Rosa. Follow me there and then DM me the word content guide. Once you do that, I'll send that your way and send you more information about our content guide and how all of that works. Another kind of simple mistake that I see a lot of people make on Instagram stories is what they do is they don't put any of their captions on their stories. So what you have to think about is when people are looking through stories are a great place to sell. It's also a really great place for people to get to know you and why they might resonate with you over other people who are in your exact same niche, right? But what a lot of people don't realize is that the sound is off when people go through stories. And so a lot of people think either A, they'll put on captions because you can actually use captions now, or what they'll do is they'll just kind of leave it blank and then it's just them as a talking head talking to the camera. People don't know what you're saying if you just leave yourself as a talking head. Or B, the second thing that happens is if you use captions, people also aren't going to just sit there and read that. What you want to do is instead of using Instagram generated captions, I like to write out my captions and think of them as like headings so that people, when they click through it, can see if they're interested in it and might turn on the sound and listen to the full thing. I found this works much better for converting a lot of your followers into paying clients. Now, for my final thing, which is honestly something new that I'd say that I really have myself changed from. So instead of you see a lot of people on Instagram, what they'll do is they'll use stories and they'll do mini trainings on them, okay? They'll get on them, they'll be like, hey, I'm gonna share some tips with you on X, Y, and Z, right? Which is great, you're providing valuable content to your following. But here's the thing, stories, the life of a story, it's only available for 24 hours and then it's gone. And sure, you can put it into your highlights section, but what I think is an even better way of using this, plus it's gonna help you increase your growth, is to create mini trainings for Reels. Okay, so I'm gonna post an example, I'll put it up here, right, of where I essentially created a Reel where it was more focused around a mini training. And what I find this to be much more helpful for is because Reels are really great. They're seen by not just your following, they can be seen by a multitude of people. And then also in addition to that, Okay, what's happening here is that it doesn't just disappear. People might come to your page, they can go through all your reels, they can see different tips that you're sharing, and I find this to be a much more effective way rather than sharing just tips on stories in general. All right, everybody, I hope you liked this video. I tried to include a lot more than just like, hey, you know, be sure that your captions are well written out and stuff like that. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Be sure to like, comment below what you'd like me to talk about next, and subscribe because I put out new videos just like this one every single Friday.